10.
Hello and welcome to LOP Radio on YouTube or IMP's LOP Radio Adventure if you're listening in podcast form. We are back once again for the final show before Wrestle Kingdom New Japan, so we're still on the New Japan train. My name is Matt Meyer, aka Imp, and a column went up early today where myself and Sir Sam paired up to face off Jeremy and Josh of Keeping It Strong Style in column form predicting Wrestle Kingdom this weekend. So if you want to go give that a read, it's 4,000 to 5,000 words long, as you can expect from a New Japan prediction column. But tonight, we are all about Wrestle Kingdom 14 and the emotions, I guess, in it. Just to word it really, really well. So, this week is a return, a majestic return, as I've written in my notes. I might be putting it a bit over the top. Majestic return. It's time to talk some New Japan Pro Wrestling. I've roped in from Chairshot Radio and back into kayfabe. It's Rey Cash. Have I lost Rey Cash? I think I have. Oh, wait. So, this is where the amazing... I'm just going to disconnect him and call him back in. As I decided to go out live. Hooray, call. There we go. Hopefully within a second. That's lovely. I think you can hear that. That's nice. Yeah. Let's just mute that for a second. Don't have to hear the Skype theme going. Yeah. So, Wrestle Kingdom 14. I was going to bash through the notes again. So, 3rd of January, the end of year awards. There is still time to get in those final votes. That closes tomorrow. We're currently recording this on the 2nd, so maybe it's closed by the time you're listening to this. But right now it's perfectly fine. Just go in and do it, like last minute. So still time to get in those final votes. And we've so far on this show, or on this kind of series of shows, we've done a formal run of the card with Jeremy Josh of Keeping It Strong Style doing a more formal run of the card. A deep dive into the stories of Wrestle Kingdom with Sir Sam. But this week, it's about us. It's about the fans, the emotion of the occasion, what we're hot for and what we're not. This is about us. How are we feeling? How are we feeling about everything? And just hopefully I get Vance back in a second so I don't have to multitask, which I'm really bad at. Oh, wait a second. Right, okay, Vance has just lost his internet. He just messaged me. Right, I will procrastinate for a second. Till you're good. Oh, this is odd of me. Right, so I started off horribly the new year. New year internet. I just noticed I'm peaking as well. If I sound a little bit different, I've got like a sound wall thing that blocks or block all ambience. It's the anti-sound thing. Whatever it's called. It's a fancy little wall thing. So I might sound a little bit different. I don't know. I've not actually tested it. I've just put it up now, covered up half my monitor because I don't have that big a desk. But it's there now. So, yes. Anyway, I just realised out loud I said I will be procrastinating a little bit. But I can easily talk about, I guess, some of the lower down the card stuff. This is, again, all about the emotion of it towards the fans. Again, we've done the formality of the card. We've done the stories going into Wrestle Kingdom, a deep dive into that. This is about us. How are we feeling going into this? And, like, really, for me, I'm really pretty damn excited. Wrestle Kingdom's one of those where sometimes I'll be really excited for ages beforehand. Like, it doesn't take much. And now we've got properly excited. I am just checking that Vance is here now? Question mark.
Hey guys, how you doing?
There we go. There we go. Oh, I procrastinated like a professional by out loud just telling people what I was typing. That counts as procrastinating.
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
Oh, This is the post-New Year, post-Christmas. I am currently really enjoying life because I've taken time off from the wrestling world. I've disconnected from watching stuff aside from like the odd clip on YouTube. I've not watched anything. I think I caught... I've downloaded... not downloaded. I've got access to the fight thing for AW. I like the 2-hour version where it doesn't go to split screen or anything. And of course I need to watch it ahead for my own show. So I've got that ready to go, but I've not watched it. I've not watched NXT. I've not watched NXT for like over Christmas either. Like, I'm really behind on everything. Like, you're meant to be a fan imp. Like, no, I'm just like, I need a time. I don't know what it's been like for you, but keeping up with everything has been like a bit much, and I've been like really happy for these like 3 weeks off over Christmas and New Year's.
It's a bit much. It is. And I'm one of those idiots that watches everything. So it gets a little difficult, but you just got to prioritize your time. And like, I don't watch NXT and AEW on the same night. So I'll normally watch NXT that night. And if I'm up for it, I'll try to watch AEW's afterwards, but normally I watch it on Thursday. But it's too much. And it's like you said yourself, it's been such a welcome break because over these past couple of weeks, I've barely paid attention to anything.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be on the TV, but I won't be paying attention. So, you know.
Yeah, it's even as mega fans, we like to kind of step back a bit and just take a little bit of time off.
It's good for your mental health.
Yes, yeah. Especially in today's age with social media as well. It's really good to disconnect from that and just, like, step away. Like, as well, being in Britain, we had the election just before Christmas as well. So just to get away from everything, it's been really, really nice and just... drink ourselves merry.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I forgot about that. But yeah, the world is kind of crazy, and you would think that our little world would be kind of our sanctuary, but our world isn't a sanctuary anymore either. No. So,
and don't worry, my country may have had the crazy election stuff, but it's your turn next, so suck it.
It's a very good point. We got a year of this nonsense, so thank you.
Anyway, we're not going to deep dive into politics because we want to be happy at the end of tonight's show. Tonight, so as I've already talked about, it is the emotions of us, the fans, coming into the show. How are we feeling about everything? I've given Rance permission. Sorry, I meant to. Last time I couldn't stop saying his kayfabe name, and now I can't stop saying his actual name. I've got it in my notes to call you like Mr. Kayfabe, and he's back into kayfabe. It's Kayfabe Rey Cash. I'm doing none of it. But yeah, so it's Kayfabe Rey Cash. I'm going to say it so many times I'll bloody remember to do it in this version. I've given him permission to go off on his feelings with Naito and everything, because that is what this week is all about. How are we feeling going into Wrestle Kingdom in terms of the things we like, in terms of the things we don't like? This is the show to let it all off, to get it all off our chests, or to be just really, I guess, deep diving into how excited we are about it as well. So, I'd say don't go too crazy off the bat.
No, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but what are your general feelings going into Wrestle Kingdom this year?
In terms of the show, I couldn't be more excited. I love the prospect of building to a 2-night crescendo because it gives you so much more room and more rope to play with than normally, because normally with the show, especially a supercard, you know you got 6 or so hours to mess with the crowd. Once the show is over, we're all going to be waiting for tomorrow or the next day, you know what I mean? Or if you want to be real, New Year's Dash. So like Ghetto has us literally in the palm of his hands right now. In terms of the main event and the Naito situation, I am terrifyingly optimistic. And that's just terrifying because I don't want to be optimistic because I know what's going to happen. I know how this is going to end up for me. But I am, the one thing, and I guess this could kind of, if you want to delve into like a little more in depth, I've really been trying to watch a lot of the videos on their YouTube or on their Twitter, which is where I see most of them, kind of the build-up videos. And I forgot that the entire reason the double champion even became a thing was because Naito kept saying he wanted to do it. And they keep bringing that up. And that scares me because, it's like a red herring almost. So I am very optimistic, but I'm terrified. And all four are deserving. But, man, we've been on this long road with Naito for 2-3 years now. So...
Well, even if you're being more crazy, with the initial championship match all the way back in 2014, with Naito winning the G1, I personally started watching in 2014, so I tuned in when he was halfway through his descent into madness, essentially, where he'd lost his main event, he lost his championship match at WrestleMania, Jesus, at Wrestle Kingdom. He'd then gone off to Mexico and come back for the G1 Climax. That's when I tune in. G1 Climax, he's getting booed, and I don't know why, because at that time as well, like, one of the hot wrestlers in America was Jeff Hardy. Oh shoot, as I kick my tea about. Yeah, so at the time, one of my favourite was Jeff Hardy, and he was big in TNA at the time. Mm-hmm. And I saw Naito, and I knew, because TNA and New Japan had worked together in the past, it didn't end very well, but it... Yeah, that's actually relevant now, but not for us. But if anyone wants to talk about it, just hit me up on Twitter. I will happily talk about it, but it's not relevant to our topic. But yeah, so... Naito was getting booed, and I didn't really know why, so I went back and watched Wrestle Kingdom, and then I watched the story as well. Showbuckle has done a really fantastic video on Naito's history as well in that time. I think at that time it was in the build-up to Okada Naito 2 at Wrestle Kingdom. So, so him around that time was a really interesting character. So I saw somebody who was a lot like Jeff Hardy, and also similar to Jeff Hardy at the time, was getting booed. And I couldn't quite see why, because he seemed like he had all of the tools. He was just getting booed for some reason. I don't know. And then, of course, he goes away to Mexico, and when he comes back, he's wearing a mask. And, like, immediately, my Western brain, my first kind of association I made, because, again, going back a few years, it's like, my first thought was, like Shia LaBeouf. He put the bag on his head.
Oh no. That's hilarious.
It's really funny now, because obviously, like, no, he's not Shia LaBeouf. No. But, like, he came back and, like, people didn't know what to think. Like, the reaction was quiet, but, like, a really good kind of quiet compared to when he walked out to, like, his final looking with Okada before Wrestle Kingdom, where we could hear a pin drop, and he's meant to be the challenger for the world title. Like, that was a bad sign. But then he went away, and he came back, and he was just, like, you couldn't take your eyes off him. Like, what was he doing? And then it's when he was in his full white suit, and he's got the big LIJ mask on as well. Then he takes it off, and he's just kind of emotionlessly staring at the crowd. He takes his time getting in the ring, like, kind of like pissed off at the crowd, like, you waste my time. I'm going to waste your time and take 10 years to get to that ring. Like the Undertaker style thing. Like, so for me, that was my introduction to Naito, and I would say it's over like a really slow amount of time where I slowly got to understand what on earth was going on. And since that moment when he started to form LIJ, he was such an interesting character, and it really didn't take long for the New Japan fans to completely flip and get right behind him. And now look where he is. Like, the hottest faction I think in terms of like merchandise and selling in Japan, LIJ are the best selling out of every faction. And they're one of the best they've had of all time in terms of merchandise, and I guess ticket sales come into that as well. So it's not just you, Rance. There's a lot of people riding the Naito train who were pretty pissed off after the last one. Me personally, I was one of the people, like, if you listen to Keeping It Strong Style, and I wouldn't say other podcasts have said it as well, but I can't be very specific, but I know they definitely have. With the thing of, there's the kind of joke of, no, in Gedo we trust, he's got a plan, I'm just going to have to ride it out for a few years, this will be fine, he'll get his opportunity, and this is like the third year on the trot where I'm saying this is Naito's year, so I'm with you that this time, I really want it to be him. I said it for the past like 2-3 years, that this is his year. I'm saying it again this time. The story's built too well for it not to be this. And, like, it's always in the back of your head, well, what if it's either too late, it's not his time anymore, what if they go with something else, what if somebody new's come along, be it like Jay White or Ibushi, what if one of them wins on night one and mucks up all of the plans in everybody's head in terms of prediction stuff. So,
but you know what, I'm a bit conflicted, because I'm Team Naito 100%. But I do feel like this whole double champion 2 Wrestle Kingdom nights situation has devalued Ibushi and his G1 Climax win, because it's not all about him as it would have been. And the one thing I appreciate about, well, of many, I appreciate about New Japan is they really build their G1 winner up. Whereas WWE, the Royal Rumble winner might not even be in the last match of the night. It's just one of the main events. They build their G1 winner up. And also, Switchblade is doing some of the best work in the business. And for a heel of that magnitude to win both belts and be the first guy to do it, he'll live off that for the rest of his life. So, like, it's I almost feel bad in the sense that there are honestly two better options than Naito. It's just they've pushed over him and passed over him for so long that it feels like if not now, then will it ever happen?
Yeah, it's Jay White's rise has been, like, in terms of like looking at Naito, his rise has been really interesting because he's had the, I guess, similar push to what Okada had. With Gedo, who gets right behind him and gets rocketed to the moon and wins. He gets impressive wins really early on, and then obviously Okada's first win wasn't impressive, but the second one was. Watch his debut. Yeah. It's funny now. That's not a Rainmaker clothesline. I don't know what that is. But so similar kind of rises with similar things. He got that. For me, it all clicked when he became Bullet Club leader last year, and he turned on the Chaos faction. Everything clicked, and it wasn't, for me, him becoming world champion was really good, but in terms of Bullet Club becoming his, like the debuts of El Fantasmo and especially Kenta, they've really worked. Like, Bullet Club's really got an identity again. GOD were pushing that hard from the start, like, we're going to go back to our Bullet Club roots because we are the BC originals, kind of go back to that kind of style they were doing, but it wasn't really until Kenta and ELP came on board where suddenly the whole image clicked, and I've been really behind Bullet Club ever since. Really, it's just nice. We're in a weird era where there's a lot of hate and negativity about, obviously. We're easier spread more than ever. But we have got at least one, I guess, heel or bad guy that is legitimately hated by the fans in each like major company, which is awesome to see. Just that there is that consistency. I'm even including Impact with Sami Callihan. Like, every promotion has one guy that the fans legitimately hate. And Jay White is another one where the fans in Japan hate him so much when he wins, before he does his speech, they will walk out in anger. Like, he's that good. And I'm not talking about, like, walk out in, oh, this is crap. Like, no, they are generally angry that he won.
Yeah.
That is just amazing to see. Like, even if I'm ranking, like, I guess Jay White, Baron Corbin, MJF, Jay White is obviously above MJF because MJF, he can make people pissed off in the audience, as I think showcased on this week's show. I've not really seen all of it. But he doesn't make them walk out. He's not that hated. Jay White is. And for me, that is absolute. And the fact that he's wrestling so well as well when you watch his matches. Like, I watched his match with Okada from last year's Wrestle Kingdom. His counter wrestling is up there with Okada, and it's getting better and better because obviously he's so young. There'll be a point where, in terms of counter wrestling at the end of matches, we might have two Okadas essentially at that level. For me, that's crazy to think about. Because Jay White is
terrifying.
Yeah, he's that good at that age. Like, we're saying the same about Okada like 3-4 years ago. He's that good at that age. Imagine how good he'll be in like 5 years. It's really impressed me this year.
And that's also the positive of them putting him in there and having the trust in him with all these top stars at the very beginning of his run once he came back from excursion. Like, literally his first ever match back in feud was against Tanahashi at the Dome. Like, they believed in the dude. And I think they're starting to see the fruition of the fruits of their labor. Now, with him, of course he's easily the top gaijin, but like, he's essentially carrying the company in a sense. From one side of the spectrum, I mean, it's Okada's company, we know that, and it's going to be for a while. But Jay White and Bullet Club is bringing in so much business from a traditional wrestling standpoint, and such that, yeah, it's cool to just enjoy good wrestling, but he's making you feel something. They're making you feel something.
And whenever you do that in wrestling, you're onto a winner. Just keep driving it home. And like, for me, I hope Jay White doesn't win on night one, because it's one of those things where it's a Naito story that's been built up for so many years. That's what a lot of fans are kind of gravitating towards. And I've always held New Japan as a promotion that rewards you for getting invested. So, like, when you get into these characters, you will be rewarded for doing so. They won't be a swerve. They will get their moment. And this feels like Naito's moment. Okada had a similar arc where he stepped up, didn't win. Then he won the G1 Climax, and this is it. This is when he beats Tanahashi. This is his moment when he takes the torch, and he lost again. And it wasn't until the third time that he actually beat Tanahashi. So, like, you kind of look at that formula, and I thought it'd be something similar for Naito. But of course, his redemption hasn't been as quick, as fluid as Okada's was. It's taken him a few years. As I was saying at the start, it's been like 3 years since his match with Okada, and 6 years since his first one. Like, it's been quite a long journey, with lots of ups and downs in between. And last year, defeating Jericho, year before Tanahashi, like, he has had his slow road to that point. And this feels like it's his year, purely because of everything that's gone by. If you look at it short term, he's not really had that good of a year. It's been fine, which is, but like LIJ is more popular than they've ever been. So obviously something is still working. Like the group as a whole are incredibly popular, but Naito himself, he's one of the, out of everybody in this, I guess, 4-way, the double dash. That's what it's called. For everybody in the double dash, he's the only one that's not had a fantastic year. Like Jay White, we've already talked about, amazing year. Okada as champion, he's back as the Rainmaker, shorts and all. He is back. Kota Ibushi has finally arrived in the main event of New Japan after winning the G1 Climax.
He finally signed the contract.
Oh, he signed that long-term contract, and immediately, like, here's your push. So, but he's kind of like Jay White, where it feels like he's had an amazing year, even more incredible by winning the G1 Climax. But it doesn't feel like this is his year. Him being in this kind of slot means a lot in terms of elevation and card positioning, just like it does Jay White. But again, just like his counterpart, it's just not his year. There's so much more going on that's been built up for so long that even though he's had a rapid rise and he's done really well to kind of slot into that point, it's not quite his year. So unfortunately, he falls into the Shinsuke Nakamura second fiddle. I guess, as in... He's in like the match that steals the show, maybe, like Nakamura did so many times at Wrestle Kingdom, not in the main event. But it'll be his time eventually, just not now.
The Nakamura memorial spot, yes, I completely agree. I have a question for you. So, I've really tried to play out the ways that can go to see not only which one will have the best story and the best match, but which one will get the best reaction from the crowd and from the online community. So my question to you is, how would you feel knowing the rise, and you laid out perfectly how Okada's rise to finally beat Tanahashi is mirroring Naito's to finally beat Okada. How would you feel if Naito beat Jay White, became IWGP Intercontinental Champion, goes to the Double Dash, but he faces Ibushi instead? Would the circle and would it be complete if he goes that way, or does it have to be Okada?
I think it has to be Okada, because in terms of like putting hurdles in front of characters, in terms of the character arc to get over that hurdle, Okada is that thing that he has never been able to get over at the Tokyo Dome. Take that away, he wins, but he didn't beat Okada to do it. And in terms of fan reaction as well, I don't know if you felt the same, but in terms of the number of times Naito and Ibushi have faced each other over the course of this year, I felt a bit of fatigue from the crowd. Like, quite a few people getting, like, yes, they're good together, but it's been too much too quickly, and this was a big break from them. I'd feel like they get the same reaction now, even though it's been like over half a year since they've ever wrestled each other, aside from tag matches. It still feels too fresh in the mind, and I don't think it'd be received that well. I guess with Jay White as well, if Jay White beats Naito, you get Ibushi. It makes sense as the second fiddle match on night 2, but as the main event, it still doesn't feel like... It feels like too quick for their story, for them to both be there. And I don't think Ibushi is the correct hurdle. If you're having Naito winning, that's another key part to that as well.
That's the key, which is I'd almost prefer as a fan Now, this isn't me with my sensical wrestling fan hat on. This is ridiculous wrestling fan rant, Ray speaking. But I'd much rather him lose night 1 if he's going to lose night 2. Like, don't do that to me. Don't build me up. Get me excited, believing it's possible, and then Rainmaker 1, 2, 3 all over again. Like, just let him lose and let him steal the show in the second match. I'd rather that than because. So here's another thing I'd like to pitch to you too again, and I don't want to take away your show or your format, but I think an interesting dynamic if you want to go the route of Naito not winning, but keeping him relevant. Wouldn't it be an interesting dynamic for LIJ to kick him out because he can't get that job done?
So that was going to be like my next point. If even if he gets in the main event and he doesn't win, for me that is his main event run like over as it is, as him as like the LIJ leader, with him leading those guys and him being such a major act in the company. For me, if he loses, that's it. And you want to rule that out. You hear all of the reports of like him getting injuries and things and just not being 100% that guy to carry the company at this moment in time. Hear those reports makes you worry a little bit. But yeah, for me, if he doesn't win, especially if he makes it to the main event and loses to Okada again, that establishes that Okada is better than Naito and Naito cannot beat him and therefore he will never be number 1. And there's just not the time to build him back up again because you'd need another fair few years to do it. And it's like,
oh God, how many years you got?
And by that time, we're already calling for Sanada and Evil to take over in terms of like going up the card and climbing that ladder. Like if we're already calling for it, the 2 or 3 years it would take to get Naito back to that place, like it's not worth it. For me, he would be dead in the main event scene if he loses. If that's the story they want to tell, that's the story they want to tell. He's openly said he'd like somebody in his own faction to like just essentially kick his ass and take over, because that would really show how much they want it. Like he's openly said that. He's set that up in interviews. That means in your head you're like, at some point it's going to happen. The question is when. And losing on this scale would be that moment, but it conflicts with like what I was saying earlier with New Japan. More often than not, they will reward their fans for getting invested. And this would be so strongly against that I'm kind of going in with blind faith for Gedo here. Like,
well, I have my typical Westerner, my skepticism. So I very honestly and openly can admit that Gedo 9.5 times out of 10 gets it right. He is the most consistent booker in recent wrestling history, easily. But he's still a booker. And they have a propensity to play with the crowd, which I love. I normally love. It's just, there's only 2 guys who I'm so emotionally invested in that, like, you can work me like anybody else. Everybody else, I see it. I step back from my smart mind. But Naito and Roman Reigns, like, you can work me all day long. I know it's coming, and I'm still gonna get worked.
I'm just thinking this year is probably like the worst for you in terms of.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible.
After this, it only gets worse with Reigns being tipped for the Rumble. Your vote is going to be very interesting.
And the Rumble's in Houston, so I'll more than likely be there.
Oh, even bigger, bigger year for Rey Cash. Oh.
Yep.
But yeah, the only thing with Gedo I'll just always remember to point out is remember the original Bone Soldier. Just that was one of his. That's what we meant by 9.5 out of 10. That was the 0.5. It does happen.
There you go. Fair point.
And like in terms of like other parts of the card, there are like some with not as much momentum. When it comes to the main event, though, New Japan, like in this era, they've delivered time and time again. Even if they like last year, I didn't really go in with that much, I guess, hype behind it in terms of my personal viewing of it. But I still really enjoyed the show. I still was excited for it. I just wasn't as excited as I was for like the mega clash of Naito and Okada, where that felt like The Rock versus Steve Austin levels of the number 1 and 2. Obviously, Omega versus Tanahashi wasn't that. Tanahashi more in that Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, I guess. More in that Bret Hart protector of the era kind of role.
Yeah.
And then there's the Rebel in Kenny Omega, I guess, who's against that style. Just realised it's Steve Austin versus Bret Hart, which didn't main event, which I don't know if that's important to point out or not, with comparing this as the main event. I just thought of it now. I don't know if it's bollocks. I'll realise when I listen to it back. I almost have an idiot or not. Wait and see. But, it didn't feel the same, essentially. But The Rock and Steve Austin are still there all these years later, and now they're both in this double dash, and you just look at it and think, oh, they are both there. I guess it's like if you had at WrestleMania, is it 19, the one with Lesnar Angle in the main event? If you had, I guess, the not the two title matches, if you had Angle and Lesnar in there, but then you also had The Rock and Steve Austin, and they did this essentially. You've got the guy who's somewhat established himself in Kurt Angle's like a really awesome guy. You've got the newcomer with a lot of momentum in Brock Lesnar / Jay White. Then you've got the two established main event guys. You'd still probably put your money behind the two established guys making it to that final, and the other two is like, oh, but it's good experience for you. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm talking about an absolutely stacked roster at the time, so there's even more people you could put in, like 6 or 7 more people you could put into that double dash at that WrestleMania. It is insane to think about now. But, I've drifted off quite a lot on random topics there.
It's okay, this is the one.
This is the one, yeah. This is the show where we can get everything off our chests, how we're feeling. But yeah, my faith in Gedo is there. In Gedo we trust, in all capital letters and in italics. In Gedo we trust. It's that long-term kind of booking where, in terms of bouncing back and forth from America to Japan, it's quite... you feel a bit destabilised when you go back from one to the other. Like, it really takes me a couple of weeks to readjust to Monday Night Raw after I've had my Wrestle Kingdom week in New Japan. It just takes me a minute, just because the booking, I guess, methodology and the way they do it is so different. Like, it's like one is we will make sure you know the story, and we'll tell it to you just so 100% you know what's happening. In New Japan, they'll do it so subtly sometimes you won't even notice it's happened until someone's pointed it out. Both have their pros and cons. Which is, I hope you've done quite well describing that there. But it's a little, it takes a minute to rebound and get back into the groove of things because they're so different. But that obviously means us as Western fans, when we go into that Japanese booking style, we bring with us that Western influence, the Western way of doing things, and we can look at the same card, but book it with our Western brain. And our Western brain's like, oh, but what if this happens? Oh, what if that? That'll be a swerve. They do swerves all the time in wrestling, but do they do it in Japanese wrestling? I don't know. They do it in America all the time. You rebound about all over the place as like a Western fan.
I've done that for the entire card like 5 times over. Yes.
Especially with us as like people who put out creative stuff out there. The amount of either card predictions and things I had to fill out. There's tournaments as well I also enter because I'm crazy. But like as I was saying today, a prediction column went up for Wrestle Kingdom, and then I'm doing this as well. It is, I get to reaffirm what I'm thinking and also doubt myself quite a lot. Because it'll be, well, what do I think about this? Again, do I still think it? I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, in Gedo we trust. Naito's had that build. I feel like it'll be really weird to go against that. Talked about Okada. Talked about for me the weird. I don't know what you feel about this. For me, the one that sticks out more than anyone, it isn't Jay White. For me, it's Ibushi. Purely because he is the only one where I can't see what is in his immediate future after this. Like especially if he loses that first match. What does Ibushi do next? Is he lost for a little bit like Okada was when he lost his title? He's the only one where it's not a very clear future, whilst everybody else, they could kind of see where they could go after Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think that's typical of Ibushi, though, because Ibushi always has kind of been like a leaf in the wind. You know, he's always Yeah, exactly. But I think that's interesting, and I also think that of all the 4, let's say Ibushi ends up not winning and not making it to the double dash and being in the second match, and he's going to steal the show because, I mean, he's amazing. But he ends up with no title at the end of it. He's the only one that has a legit claim to say, hey, I never got my real shot. I mean, I know I had my match, but, like, y'all pulled this on me out of nowhere. So I could see Ibushi being the next guy for whoever, excuse me, is the champion. It can't be Okada, obviously, because if Okada wins it all, like Okada always wins it all, he beat Ibushi clean then, so that's it. But if it is Jay or Naito, I can see Ibushi being that first challenger. But yeah, other than that, from a storyline perspective, there's nothing there. So maybe he's the step up guy. Maybe he's the guy that somebody uses to step up. What if Kenta beats Goto clean and beat, and hopefully doesn't hit Shibata, but basically puts his dominance, and Kenta steps up to face Ibushi. That's something different, right?
Yeah,
we know Ibushi's not above the Never title, so
it wouldn't be difficult to kind of position Ibushi as that, I guess, New Japan hero / defender, especially as Tanahashi kind of maybe winds down at some point over the next decade. I can limit it down to that. If he winds down
over the next decade. Real quick. Is the match between him and Jericho, is it signed in the actual contract that if Tanahashi loses, he retires? Or is that just Jericho saying he's going to do it?
That's just Jericho saying it. The only additional thing that's been added to all of the promotion properly...
It's a title match.
It's a title match, yeah. Which adds a lot on top of a match that was all of it. I feel like this is us transitioning, so goodbye main events. We've talked about it for quite a long time, to be fair. Like 40 minutes. Yeah, so Tanahashi Jericho with the AEW Championship. For me, it was a little bit startling, just because hearing the reports of how badly it was handled, I guess, from the AEW side, whilst the New Japan side was like, what did you think was going to happen? It's one of those where I feel like in a few years it'll be quite funny to hear them talking about it, because it feels like they might have been a little bit naive, where when you look at it in hindsight, they might find that story a little bit funny after all of the stuff they've learned by running the show every single week, which is, again, you see how mental it is when you see AEW trying to do it, and you see the little things that get dropped and things that don't quite click into place, and suddenly it's like, oh, there's a lot of plates spinning on this thing. Suddenly it makes sense that there will be things that fall through the cracks. Yeah. I read those interviews with them basically feeling like they were kind of done wrong, for lack of a better term, by how they left New Japan and Ring of Honor. And somebody put a tweet out that made me really reminisce, and I was like, and it made me remember, but they literally announced AEW outside of the Tokyo Dome. Oh. So, what are you talking about? What else were they supposed to do? They were supposed to give you the championship and say, thanks for being here, we'll build a new one? No, they have to take care of the company. I just assumed when they did all of that stuff, they'd gotten permission from New Japan. I just assumed they all knew. Because it turns out...
Yeah, me too.
It's just such a massive shift to do that. And now we know as well that New Japan were planning their expansion into the US. And for the guys that they built up to carry that... turns out the Elite guys were 100% correct that they were hot enough to carry their own promotion. Obviously, New Japan had also noticed that, but their wheels their wheels don't particularly spin especially fast as they've proven their expansion in the US. With this might have been, I guess, the ball that got dropped, the fact that they were dribbling so slowly. I stuck with the metaphor there. Well done, me. But they
good job.
So yeah, that might be the ball that they dropped. Was that they took so long that the wrestlers got so hot by themselves that they didn't need New Japan, and they could go off by themselves, and essentially now this is a promotion highlighting what the indies were in America. I guess in that time that Young Bucks and the Elite were white hot on the indies, they lifted up the indies with them, now on national television. New Japan lost their ball. I don't know if that's partly because they took so long that they were able to do that, or if they did too good a job. They did so good a job that Kenny Omega sold out a Ring of Honor show with his name alone within minutes, which is it's one of those
amazing.
When you look back on it, for me, that was the moment where everybody started to realise, oh, there's something here in terms of an outside WWE force.
Their biggest house, by the way.
The biggest house, that one, was it?
Yeah, their biggest ever. On the name of one dude. Ring of Honor.
That is mental. And they would tell... Madison Square Garden doesn't count, by the way. Just that Kenny Omega one, that is the one. Madison Square Garden, you'd hear the commentators say, oh, look how much Ring of Honor's hotter than it's ever been. And I was just sitting there going, it wasn't you though, was it? It was you're more there for, I guess, the help and production, and you get half the show. New Japan, you can tell by the crowd reactions, New Japan were like really who the fans were there to see, and it was yeah. You could really tell that just by how hot they were. Take out how the matches were booked and the fans were a bit down on the Ring of Honor segments. The actual, by the entrances, who was hot for who, aside from the Ring of Honor World Championship match, the reactions weren't that loud for the Ring of Honor guys. But the New Japans were heralded like gods. Even Jay White in the main event. It felt like a massive deal. To be fair, it was, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So... Tanahashi Jericho. We went into AEW. It's still relevant. It counts. So when it actually got announced by like Chris Jericho, and they put out the videos, New Japan, with like AEW Championship written on it as well. It's like, oh crap, this isn't just a Jericho statement. Like, this is properly part of the build now. They're generally going to include this because it's all over the promotion for the match. That kind of took me back a little bit. Like, is this just a... Well, the other thing was, I was thinking, if anybody can mend if anybody could mend a relationship in this way, it feels like Tanahashi and Jericho together, they would be those men. Like, it's just, they are both so highly respected that if they want to do it, who the hell is going to stop them? Because they are like Tanahashi. Sorry, you go.
No, I'm sorry. I just want to say that's a great point, because we all know about the, let's say, tension. I don't want to say anything worse than that, but the tension between New Japan and AEW, or the perceived tension. But yeah, Jericho and both Jericho and Moxley having their contracts. Yeah, I'm doing New Japan whether you like it or not. Yeah. And Moxley signed with New Japan first. Jericho walked into AEW and said, "Hey, I'm still going to work with them whether you like it or not." So yeah, those are the two guys that, and Tanahashi, because he's Tanahashi, that you're absolutely right, can bridge that gap and make things happen whether it's supposed to or not.
Yeah. As a fan, again, this episode is all about the feelings of the fans and our emotions towards it. That suddenly was like, oh crap, well, I really want Tanahashi to win now. There's stakes in this. Just for that relation. Even if it doesn't even, I guess, involve any more New Japan wrestlers going over to AEW. If we get that one match, that is massive. And I'm assuming the AEW fans will be just as hot for it as I would be in my living room watching it. The same as that. It feels like there's so much weight to it now, and it's kind of the reverse of what we see normally. Because normally, when Tanahashi wrestles at Wrestle Kingdom, he's defending his home. Well, like Kenny Omega last year, he was defending the home of New Japan against the Western influence, which is still I guess, major feeling from a lot of the Japanese fans. Is there's too much Western influence today in New Japan, but Tanahashi is the defender of that come Wrestle Kingdom every year. And this year's no different against Jericho. And Tanahashi losing, that's the Western influence defeating him. But if he wins, he then gets to spread the Japanese style into an actual American company on national television as well. So it's kind of like a double win for Tanahashi. But Jericho, he's now the one defending his territory from the foreign influence, which is, it's like, oh, it's a lovely little double reversal thing that's going on there. I really like that. They haven't specifically said that, but it's one of those where those connotations are there. Like, oh, this results in that, and oh, that's nice. I really like that. Even though Jericho isn't I guess when you watch AW itself, he is the bad guy taking over that world, but he would see that as his world, like, this is mine. You will not influence with your style on my home, which is... Yeah, it's like... Both characters have suddenly, with like two promos, because there wasn't much before that. Suddenly with those two promos, it's like both guys, I understand 100% where they're both coming from and where they stand in this match. And there's so much heat behind it, and suddenly it's one of the most anticipated of the weekend. Yeah. How are you feeling towards Tanahashi Jericho?
I have my Westerner brain struggled with it at first. Because, again, you know me well. I'm primarily predicated on a story, and for the longest, there was no story. Jericho just wanted to take out the top dog as a story. I'm not saying there's no story, but it was pretty much kind of out there in the open. It was, there was the interest of Jericho saying he was going to retire, dude, and it's Tanahashi stepping back. There was all that interest, but now that, as you've laid out so perfectly, that there are stakes now, and Tanahashi's fighting back and fighting for his don't want to say culture because that makes it a more distinct thing, but for his home, as you put it, his style of wrestling, what he believes in, what he's fought so hard to preserve against the evil foreigners, because he just did it last year against Omega, and this year the dude who's wrestles for Omega's company. So there's like little extra added hints of story in there. Now I'm excited for it. As far as in ring, it'll be cool. I'm not in 2019, 2020. I love Jericho. He might be one of the best things about wrestling, but I don't ever care to really watch him wrestle. I've watched Jericho in ECW. I watched Jericho in early WCW. It's just totally different, and my brain can't turn that off. And I appreciate what he's able to do, but more often than not, it's really mediocre compared to me expecting and seeing excellence every time. And I know that Tanahashi, who's still great, he stepped back a bit. So it's going to be a bit of a different worked match. But it doesn't take my excitement away from it. Because what's getting me involved and getting me excited and getting me to the TV to watch is 100% their build up of their story. And is this going to be the bridge that's going to bridge both companies back together? Is Tanahashi going to be the one to do it? Well, if Tanahashi loses, is Jericho going to beat him up so bad he's going to write him out of storylines? Is this Tanahashi's opus, his way to walk out and on his sword? Like, there's so many different little factors, and I'm really interested in how they book it and who wins, because I think the winner of this match really kind of is a peek into the eyes of the future of those two companies. If Jericho wins, Tanahashi is basically on his way out, the way I see it. And I know it's an ignorant take because Tanahashi's probably going to be wrestling in 2050. Like, that dude,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's gonna come to the ring playing air guitar in a wheelchair and then wrestle a 5-minute match. Like, that's him. But it feels like there's a shift here, and Tanahashi kind of sees the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's a lot closer than he probably expected it to be. Whereas if Tanahashi wins, well, man, how are they going to do this? Is Tanahashi going to wrestle on an AEW pay-per-view? Is Jericho going to defend the title on a New Japan show? If that happens, well, then are we going to see Archer coming after Moxley after their match? Are we going to see Juice coming over? Are we going to see God coming over? Is it going to be more of a, like an invasion type situation? Almost, taking it, I don't know how far back you were watching or how intricate you were watching, but is this going to be CZW versus Ring of Honor again? Like, how is this going to be? Is it going to be that? Like, I'm really intrigued in all of the peripheral things. The match is kind of just like Necessary Evil. The rest of the stuff, that's enough to make my head spin.
As you can hear as well, there's so many different paths you can go with this. In terms of what springs off of it, and then, well, so many different other paths spring off of what springs off of this. It's something that certainly branches out with possibility. But in terms of we've talked about, I guess where it could go in terms of the Western world as well with AEW, and what on earth did that mean with that? But in Japan as well, This is the first Wrestle Kingdom of the new Reiwa era, and Tanahashi has been New Japan's defender for so long. But this is a new era in terms of this is not in terms of just Japan, as in it's a new era like the Attitude Era or anything like that. This is a new era for Japan overall, and I wouldn't be surprised if, I think because we brought up Ibushi earlier, I was thinking it wouldn't take much to shift Ibushi into that role of the guy who wants to defend New Japan. Like, he's got his lifetime contract with the company as well, and it wouldn't take much for him to say, you know what, I lost the title, but I will defend this company. And he steps up in that manner, that kind of way. It wouldn't take much for them to shift him in that role. But first, first you need to make New Japan vulnerable and actually in need of defence. And Jericho beating Tanahashi, and therefore ending all possibility of the massive road in terms of, what if Tanahashi wins? That would be amazing. But if Jericho wins, he's then endangering New Japan. So instead of Tanahashi coming to AEW, it's the other way round. Jericho now has more sway and momentum in New Japan, but Ibushi could be there to stop him in that aspect. Suddenly, like, in terms of you're having to cut Tanahashi's legs to elevate Ibushi, essentially, and yeah, and there's that outside influence of the new era in Japan. This could be the Wrestle Kingdom to do it, or it could be, as Vance said, Tanahashi's going all the way till 2050, and he'll stay as he is. Nothing's going to change.
How ironic would it be if, let's say what we're assuming is going to happens, and Tanahashi loses, and Jericho kind of is lead. Well, New Japan is vulnerable, and there's the possibility of AEW kind of looming, and they need a new defender, and Ibushi steps up in that role. How ironic is it that Ibushi was the one guy that just refused to commit, and now he's kind of tasked with the job of defending it, and two, how ironic is it that he's defending it against his golden lover and his golden lover's company?
Oh, don't tease me, Vance.
I'm saying there's so much in that thought process, and you know what I love about Ibushi is Ibushi has a wonderful conflicted face, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yes.
Like, you don't know what's going on behind his eyes, and I don't know if that's in a good way or a bad way, but it works. And his how conflicted he can be in that particular role, if they do work together or even tease it, man, that's gold. And I'm pun intended, yeah, but it's gold.
Well, like you've seen both sides of it as well, just to show how versatile he is in doing that. With, I guess, one side in terms of happiness and friendship and love with Kenny Omega when he came back to save him, and he could see in his face just how conflicted he is, and what do we do here? And the two of them in the ring for the first time in such a long time, and you can see the confliction all over Ibushi's face. The other flip side is when he was in the ring with Okada earlier this month. And not early this month, it's only the second day of January, back in December, when he was on the road to.
Last year.
Last year, yeah. And he's in the ring with Okada, he's holding his G1 case, but it's that same feeling of, you can see the confliction, and also you don't know what he's going to do. And then he just absolutely decks Okada with the briefcase, knocks him out cold. And
I loved it.
So, in both aspects, you're happily surprised by the hug and the embrace with Kenny Omega. But then on the flip side as well, like, you're shocked and kind of just laughing when he knocks out Okada. The complete opposite kind of ending of at what is behind Ibushi's eyes, and then you get your answer. Like, could not be any more opposite. But it works in so many situations.
I'm gonna make a comparison real quick, and you're gonna think I'm crazy, but hopefully you'll see some merit in it. Because this one is even crazy for me, but I see them similarly. I look at Ibushi and Bailey as very similar characters. What I mean is, Ibushi is very childlike in his character, right? He's been very naive. He's kind of quite aloof. You know, he's for the longest just been happy to kind of go where things are. Don't get me wrong. When it's time to go, he goes, and he'll do crazy stuff to go. And you know, Bailey's character can almost be looked at as a child growing up. And now this iteration of her character, now that she's turned heel, killed the Bailey buddies, chopped off the ponytail, you can look like she's like in her adolescence, right, in her teenage years. I'm not saying that Ibushi is turning heel, needs to turn heel, or even needs to add that much of an edge, but just a little bit of edge in what he's doing. Not just in ring, but where he carries himself. And now that he's on the verge of possibly carrying the company, we're not giving him enough credit, but he really could possibly end Wrestle Kingdom Night 2 as the double champion. You can see with like the things with him hitting Okada in the head with the G1 briefcase and stuff like that. You can see almost him, and for a 40-plus-year-old man, I know it's ridiculous, but you can see him almost growing up in character. Like, he's really by himself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he's not in a faction. He's not loosely tied to a faction like Tanahashi, because Tanahashi might not be in Taguchi, Japan, but he reps them. You know, he's literally by himself, and his best friend / boyfriend / golden lover, whatever you want to call Kenny, him and all the friends that he got cool with left and started their biggest competition. He's by himself. So, like, he's had to grow up this year.
That's, in terms of, like, yeah, Ibushi has had to grow up. And for me, that's a really good comparison, purely because, especially when you bring in his match with Tanahashi last year in the G1 Climax final, Tanahashi asked him to step up. When it was that spot where Ibushi struck Tanahashi, and Tanahashi just asked for more, and eventually just cornered Ibushi before, like, screaming at his face and really taking it to him. Ibushi, in that moment last year, couldn't step up. This year, he had to overcome so much to defeat Jay White, and he proved he could do it. So in the course of, like, 1 year, his kind of character and drive has aged so much. He's grown up so much to get to the point where he's at now, like, ready for the main event of January 4th in the Tokyo Dome. Like, he feels like he has earned that spot, even if he's not in the ultimate main event the next night. He has earned that January 4th spot, and where he was last year, where he opened the show, like, that is, like, polar opposite in terms of where he was, in terms of, like, being strong enough to hold New Japan on his shoulders. He's a lot more trusted now than he was 1 year ago. This shows a lot. That's one thing I love about New Japan is it's one of the things where you could see somebody criticising it saying, oh, what's the story? Well, that's because you realise it when you look back more often than not. Like, oh crap, there's been an entire arc here. And it's played out wonderfully. And it makes it really interesting to write about as well. Like, the more you watch, the more you get out of it. I love that about New Japan. Yeah, and
it's very well put.
And that's, in terms of, like, my biggest comparison to WWE, where in WWE, they make sure 100% that you know the story. New Japan don't bother with that. Just like, what do you mean you need to know the story? It's like, I mean, it would help, thanks, Gado. Just they've at least started doing promo packages before matches now. Like, that's nice. We can actually, and they're really fancily done. Everything. Like, for the main events, the Wrestle Kingdom video packages are amazing. So I'm so thankful.
Oh yeah, they're excellent.
Yeah. Also doesn't hurt that a lot of them have got, like, English translations as well. Like, they realise the audience, like, compared to when I watched. I am talking about when I watched, there was no English commentary, so I was never expecting it. But, like, just promo packages in Japanese, and I'm like, well, I'll try and associate the, I guess, tone he's speaking with. He had a cadence of a joke, like that kind of thing, where I don't understand a word, but now they've done the translation so well that it seeps through the product. Kenny Omega Tanahashi, the dual translations for the promo package, that works really well. I immediately just assumed that was because it was one English competitor, one Japanese, so just have both translations show up for them. So I don't know if they'll do that this year, but it was a nice feature. I personally really like that.
My first Wrestle Kingdom, and actually my first real foray into New Japan, was Wrestle Kingdom 9. That's the match when Okada was the champ and Tanahashi beat him in the Dome and he walked out crying.
Yes.
That's also the Shinsuke Kota Ibushi match, which might be my favorite New Japan match ever, still to this day.
The one where JR stood up in his seat after seeing, like, the second rope German.
Yes. That second rope German's, like, I have nightmares about that to this day. Anyway, that's when because I knew what I was getting into. That for just to give you some backstory, that show was sponsored by you'll get a kick out of this, Jeff Jarrett's Global Force Wrestling.
Yes.
So it was on pay-per-view, like traditional pay-per-view here. So I bought it because I didn't even know they had a streaming service. So that was my first chance to actually watch. And I'm very big on watching every major company's biggest show. If nothing else, I'll give that a chance because that gives me an opportunity to see the best you have to offer. Do I want to keep up with it? And I keep up with almost every major company loosely anyway. But that Shinsuke Kota match and that AJ Styles Naito match, because that was the first chance I saw. That's the first time I saw Naito, like, in an actual match. I'd seen, like, clips. But anyway, I bring all that up to tell you that even then, the build-up and the promo videos, especially the promo video with Tanahashi versus Okada, and Okada is like around all this decadence in this lavish hotel room, and like Tanahashi's like outside the dome, but like you could tell how serious it was, and I couldn't understand anything because it was all Japanese, but you could tell like, man, they really are putting effort into this. If I could understand, I'd be blown away, but I'm blown away even without it.
Yeah.
So now that there's actual translations, yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, they've done so well to get the story part kind of across to us rather than just kind of taking stabs at the dark, trying to figure it out and guessing other things. The commentary team as well have done like a fantastic job of getting better and better at telling us not just the short-term stories of that year, but overall and things as well. Chris Charlton is such a fantastic addition in terms of that. Also, from this year, I've become a really big fan of the guy whose name I've just forgotten. Oh, and Sam will be quite annoyed because he's a bloody native. What is... Oh, Gino. Big Gino. There we go. Oh.
Gino Gambino, yeah.
Yes. He has been fantastic on commentary. I've generally enjoyed him. Brings a lot of character to it, which different commentators over the years have. Like, obviously, you watched back then, you would have heard Steve Corino, who was really good with Kevin Kelly.
Excellent. Corino was excellent.
Like the big Wrestle Kingdom Corino Kevin Kelly example I always bring up is the tag team match where Toa Hanare was swearing after every move. It's absolutely hilarious. And Corino just starts crying with laughter. It's just so funny. But yeah, then Don Callis as well was also really good in that role, and now we've got Gino, who is Rocky Romero. Can't ignore him either. Like they've got in that Gino Rocky Romero role where yes, they're calling the action, but they do so well to inject character. Each person has their individual role, and it adds so much to the commentary. They've really improved it over the course of the years, and I feel like we're at a really good place right now. Just, you know, maybe not... Was it Lanny Poffo they had that one time? Which just didn't work. They tried. It didn't work. But, yeah. So, yeah, I've put over the commentary. I did think maybe most podcasts would do that.
Is Gino still in the Bullet Club?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those. Normally, when it's like a heel commentator, you get a little bit worried. Like Don Callis was essentially just like orgasming over Kenny Omega and the Elite. It's like, calm down, Don. You don't need that much. Like for me, Gino is the perfect level. Like he's not aroused, but he is enjoying it. He's at a decent level. And it really does add to it that he's found that perfect level, and he's also at a perfectly fine place to bully Chris Charlton and not feel like a dick whilst he's doing it. That's another thin line to cross. Like, bully the nerd, but don't be a dick about it. he manages to know that. He's obviously, when you just look at him, he's just somebody who just gets it in terms of like wrestling and the whole thing. If you've ever seen him wrestle as well, I loved him under his King Gambino gimmick where he really went into it. Like that was. Like, if Baron Corbin needs anyone recent to take notes from, like Gino is he was fantastic in that King role where you go over the top with everything, and you have people carrying you out for "You are King." I love that stuff. I know it gets a lot of crap on the internet, but during the King of the Ring, I was like, I really want Baron Corbin to win because I will love him with all that over the top bollocks. I will love him like that.
He's the perfect king, and so we've done, I think, a lot in this conversation. We've kind of compared the Western world of wrestling to the Eastern world of wrestling. The one thing that I think fans of the Western world of wrestling, particularly WWE, have forgotten is that just because the point of a heel is to not like them at all, no redeeming qualities, and we've gotten so comfortable. Not only liking our heels, but needing to like our heels, and saying that, oh well, he did a great job as a heel, but I like him as a person. There's nothing about Baron Corbin that anybody likes. Like not even there's nothing about Tom Pestock that anybody likes. Like, and that's the perfect heel, which is why he was the perfect person for that gimmick. Because there is nothing redeeming about dude.
Yeah. And I may not be like a massive fan of no, I am a king and some of the, but that's not him, if that makes sense. Like, it'll be some of the scripts written for him take it too literally, where it's like, no, as long as he thinks he's a king, he's not actually a king, but he thinks he is. Dance that line. Don't write him as if he's actually a king. That's not his fault. I think he's doing a fantastic job in terms of like ranking. Like when I brought up earlier that each company has one guy that is legitimately hated. For WWE, it's Baron Corbin. He is legitimately hated, and as much as I complain that I don't really like some of the writing for him, I will always just write about how I think he himself is doing a fantastic job. I really rate him there. I'd even put him above MJF because there are some people who actually like MJF. Quite a lot of people. He's in that role of you'll boo him at the show, so he's doing his job, but you will talk about how fantastic he is at getting you to boo him.
You know my issue with MJF is, real quick. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, we're already tangenting.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
My issue with MJF, I think he's a fantastic talker, but my issue with him is that I don't want to say he's playing wrestler, but like I feel like the other three you mentioned in terms of truly hated, Callahan, Corbin, and Jay White. I feel like everything that they're doing to make you hate them comes back to their wrestling, comes back to their profession. MJF is trying to get you to hate him outside of the realm of wrestling. And that gives away the game to me. Like, I don't know if you saw the tweet the other day he put out, I guess last year again, where he was talking about how your grandma is dead or something. And
I did not see that.
Like, it's like, right. Bro, you're a wrestler. Like, I don't need to hate you on Twitter. Like, you're a wrestler. Just talk about wrestling. And I think that hurts him because it feels like, to me, he's trying too hard. And just watch the kid on camera. Like the promo battle he had with Jericho a couple weeks ago was amazing, and they were just going out there just riffing. I've heard good things about his promo last night, which I'll finish sometime tonight. But like, just be you. But like, you can tell like sometimes he's trying too hard, or at least I feel that way, and that hurts him with me. Whereas it don't look like Corbin's trying at all. It looks like he's just being a dick. It don't look like Jay White or Callahan's trying at all. It's just like they're being their natural dick selves.
Yeah. That's what like Jericho and I guess like Randy Orton's another good one, where it's almost zero energy for them to be a dick. That is
yes, it's so natural.
Yeah, and like, as we say, like we have seen that MJF can be amazing because we have seen it. I don't know if part of that is he's not actually wrestling that much. And in terms of if I'm trying to, as you were saying, like put everything back into wrestling to like that circle, the circle that feeds into each other. He's not really wrestling enough for the circle to be formed that much. It's one where I'll give it time, and hopefully over time that circle will be a bit more formed. But as of right now, it's more promo heavy than it is wrestle heavy. And as we've seen with all these others, be it Sami Callihan, who is champion, be it Jay White, who has been champion as well, be it Baron Corbin, who won the King of the Ring, that counts. It fed back into the wrestling part. We haven't seen that yet with MJF, and hopefully they do. He won the ring, but again, that was like a multi-man match of sorts. I'm kind of with you in that sense of I'm waiting for that wrestle part to click and to happen. The reason I put him at the bottom of my 4 kind of top generally hated wrestlers for each company, the reason I put him at the bottom is because it's not fed back yet. It has for all 3 of the others, and they feel so much better for it. It doesn't really matter, like in terms of like week to week how the creative is booking them or whatever. I'm talking more like as an actual act and a character. How do they actually feel to the audience? And Jay White, again, as I said, fans leave the arena. They are so angry that he has won. That is fantastic.
That's awesome.
No,
That's awesome.
I absolutely love that. I think today was all about kind of the emotion of the fan and the watching of the show in that kind of manner. Before we start signing off and closing off and plugging stuff, is there anything on the card that we haven't talked about that you have some kind of emotional connection to? I've just thought of one immediately, but I'll let you go first because I'm throwing to it. Is there something on this card that you've just emotionally there's something there for you?
For me, well, first before I say what the two matches that I'm mostly invested in, I'm not invested in it personally, but I know that so many fans are. But the fact that this is Liger's send off is huge, and I would have liked for him to have had a singles match to send off, but he's in a 8-man and then a regular traditional tag. But you know what? It's cool because I would hope he would have had some say in how he went out, given what he's given to that company. But I just wanted to kind of acknowledge that. But for me, Kenta and Goto, and my God, Will Ospreay and Hiromu. Man, when Hiromu came out, like when I tell you a grown man shed tears, like I literally teared up because like I love that dude so much, and I was so terrified for his life, much like Shibata. You know, when Shibata came out and did the pose, like we really invest in these dudes. You know what I mean? And like they give their genuine lives for us. And when Hiromu fell on his neck, when Dragon Lee dropped him on his neck, I was terrified. So to see him come back and face who probably was an in-ring the wrestler of the year for the belt he never lost, like that's going to be ridiculous. And then I'm also, not only am I invested emotionally, but I'm terrified because both of those two people are clinically insane. So they're going to do something that is many things that are going to make me cringe. And I'm excited for it and terrified at the same time. So those are the two matches for me, if I had to add on to what we've already talked about, that I'm really keeping an eye on. And, of course, you know, Goto's Goto. But with him and Shibata being best friends back to high school in their history, and Shibata hopefully never, ever taking a bump again, that's the perfect match for that. But I know Shibata will be at ringside. So and I'm sure Fale and Jado will be at ringside with Kenta. So that, like, I'm super hyped about that because Kenta has been a revelation in New Japan. And, you know, Goto can still go. So they're going to wrestle a great match. Kenta's going to try to break his nose and break his face and all that stuff. But, like, those two matches for me, like, instantly when I saw them booked, they had me.
Hearing you talk like, I want to dive into it again, but I'm realising we have got a time limit on the show. I'm not going to go forever.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Sorry.
Well, I'm probably going to create the same feeling myself. I'm talking now. So the other match that we've not really talked about, all three that Rance brought up, I'm again either really looking forward to for I guess sentimental reasons or emotional reasons, or I'm just so excited and invested in the story, especially with Ospreay versus Hiromu, where like in the column I put up today with the other people I already talked about, I wrote it as Hiromu's having to swim up the already risen tide, but luckily for him, he does not give a crap about his well-being, so he will happily swim up.
Factually true.
He is a crazy person. So like that match, in terms of like the emotion involved, like it is with Hiromu and his return as well, is a lot of emotion in there, and same with Liger as well with his last two matches, and his farewell ceremony is on New Year's Dash on Monday, so don't forget about that, people. Before I jump into my matches, I've just randomly remembered, if you live in the UK in terms of like start times, they don't start at the same time both days. The second day is 2 hours earlier. So remember that, everybody. Tune in on time. Second night is 2 hours earlier. And I think it's 2 hours later, I think, on for New Year's Dash. So it's a 5 a.m. start time for me on Sunday. That'll be fun.
Ooh, boy. Ooh.
A spicy early one. It's going to be interesting. And I'm out that night as well. That's going to be a long day. That's going to be quite interesting. Anyway,
oh, my goodness.
I came dangerously close to plugging stuff, but I've not finished my bit. So the two, in terms of the matches that I'm really looking forward to that I've not really talked about, they kind of tie into each other in I'll call it the Fin Juice saga, which is building up over this.
Got you. Yeah.
So on night one, we have got two different matches. We have got God versus Fin Juice. For me, this is Yeah, this isn't one of the matches I'm most looking forward to, but it ties into night 2. So there's that match, and then there is also Jon Moxley versus Lance Archer in a Texas death match, where that's gonna not be PG.
No,
no way.
That's not gonna be MA. That's gonna be rated X. It's gonna be dangerous.
Aside from the 5-minute claw spot, that claw's getting over. Like, he's not winning, but the claw will win. The claw will get over big. Moxley will sell it like the most devastating move in wrestling history.
Oh my goodness, yes.
That's Archer deserve. He's had a fantastic year, and him getting this spot, this is his reward. He's not winning because they have set something else up where kind of, I guess, the fate of what actually happened in real life with, what was it called? Hagibis?
The Typhoon?
Yeah, Typhoon Hagibis, I think it was called. And because of that, Jon Moxley was not able to defend his championship, and now this match has been delayed till Wrestle Kingdom. It feels special. It feels big. You can sense there's going to be that explosion once again when that bell rings. It's really special kind of going into it. But first you got to get through that first violent night on night 1, where Moxley, you would think, would have a disadvantage given what he's just been through. But also, knowing Jon Moxley, they're both going to be heated as hell for their match on the second night. So I'm really looking forward to, even though there's like a death match on night 1, which is quite interesting to see how they do it in New Japan, because normally when they've done it before, it really feels like a fight. Like the biggest example, I can never remember his name, and the young boy's not here to remind me of it. Power Warrior versus Yuji Nagata. I think it's Kenzei Sasaki versus Yuji Nagata from 2003. That is a war. When I say it's one of those where it just feels like a fight, and they just go at each other, and it's so bloody. For me, that is the bar at Wrestle Kingdom in terms of what could they go over or under. Purely because that's just a bloody fight. And they do such a good job that it really does feel like they're fighting, and it's not a wrestling match. But it is a wrestling match, which means they've nailed it so much, which is an absolutely fantastic match I highly recommend everyone goes and sees. But Moxley versus Lance Archer, I feel like it's going to be violent, but I don't know if it's going to be that bloody, because there isn't that animosity. But with Juice and Mox, there is. So
yes,
that violent feeling is right there with it. And also, like, it feels like a young boy put this in the column, so I'm kind of stealing this one from him. But I'm giving him credit. It's really fine. But it's always felt like with Moxley that his big goal in New Japan was to get Juice over, like just to elevate him that bit more. And Wrestle Kingdom feels like that moment. This is where that happens, and Juice beats Moxley. Moxley rides into the sunset, but he is allowed to still wrestle on New Japan shows over the course of 2020. So he's likely not going anywhere, really. You still see him on both AEW and New Japan. But Juice can be the US champion. And so Sam's kind of put the idea in my head now that Juice would be a pretty damn good choice to pick as your top guy for the US expansion. He is a fantastic promo, and against Moxley he really gets to prove himself, especially to the Western fans who maybe don't tune in for the entire year but will watch Wrestle Kingdom, and they see Juice Robinson getting put over by Jon Moxley. That would be huge. Well done to him as well. And also, the other note of interest is Juice's fashion. Oh, it's Wrestle Kingdom. Juice on Wrestle Kingdom. Oh,
God.
How can you do better than the Siberian supermodel they've had for the past little while? I'm looking forward to what he looks like when he comes out. And
Juice dresses like if Elton John and Russell Westbrook got together.
What a crossover.
And picked out his stuff.
Yeah.
That's the level of Juice type stuff.
And especially if he becomes Juicy Two Belts. And he gets to do his fashion with 2 belts. Oh, yes.
That's excellent, Juicy 2 belts.
Imagine the fashion. It'll be amazing.
Man.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to as well. Surely, we've got to be calling him that after Wrestle Kingdom. That hashtag was trend. It's going to work. It's going to be fantastic. It made me laugh. Again, we're writing the column with the Kiss Boys and Sir Sam. And I wrote my part, and then I looked at everyone else, and both Jeremy and Josh had already called him Juicy Two Belts. I was like, damn it! I thought it was my original one. We all thought of it. But yeah.
Oh God, that's excellent.
So I am looking forward to the Juice Robinson saga, as I'm calling it, with those 3 matches. And Sorry for Lance Archer. He gets his moment on night 1, but night 2, it feels like this is the moment, the reason for Moxley's arc to build up Juice. It finally happens, and I'm really looking forward to it. Especially as it ties into the US expansion as well. To have Juice as the US champion when that happens, for me that feels pretty big and pretty major, and they can really elevate him with it. I'm quite interested to see how he succeeds. It feels like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know if New Japan are too late to this party. Even though they've been playing for quite a while, they've not elevated early enough in my head, so I'm feeling like they're kind of back of the pile. But I still reckon they'll be number 3 quite easily. What helps is they're not going to be there every single week, so they don't have to fill out those big arenas that often. That's going to really help them, I reckon. But I can't remember what they said in the press release. Which is a little bit irritating. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what on earth it's going to be, essentially, because I don't really know. I've not got many expectations of good or bad, because I just don't know. I just know they're doing the expansion. Something's going to happen. And Juice being at the head of that doesn't sound too bad for me, especially as you can then do Juice versus Lance Archer. And if that's your first big main feud for that little US promotion, yeah, that should do pretty well. I should be pretty excited for that one.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's exciting. Yes, it's quite exciting.
And I did really well not to jump in onto anything else, but the card overall, I'm looking forward to a hell of a lot. We'll get an emotional send off for Liger on New Year's Dash, and the 2 matches on both nights I'm expecting to be pretty emotional themselves. It's like, no, you're getting teary-eyed thinking about his farewell ceremony. No, not me. No, I'm not thinking back to what Flair's was like. I was not crying then either. It feels like it's going to be like a roller coaster of a weekend, which I'm really looking forward to. And it's only 2 days away, and for me it's 20 minutes till midnight, so it's only 1 day away. Pretty much, it's going to be crazy. We're now. Let's beat it to the end of the show. Fun as always, talking with kayfabe Rey Cash. This time about New Japan. A nice change of pace for our conversations.
Mm-hmm. And I wish more people would ask me about New Japan. Like, I might not watch every single show, but I'm very in tune with it, and I love the product. It's a very, I know those that know me and know the things I talk about and kind of my fandom would not expect me to be a fan of theirs, but I love it. I love their stuff. So, yeah, it's always good to get a chance to step out of my comfort zone and talk about something I don't get a chance to talk about often. So thank you for that.
And we can all have a prayer for him with Naito, that his stress levels don't get too high.
Oh, God, please.
You know that switchblade is getting locked in, and that heart rate, it's going to jump. Even if he counters it into a Destino, which would look awesome. There's still that opportunity that he gets locked in. It's like, oh, don't you dare, Jay. It's going to happen. Ricardo as well.
Oh, man.
Okada is hitting a Rainmaker, win or not. That's going to happen as well. It's going to be one hell of a roller coaster. But for me, never mind somebody who's really behind Naito. It's going to be crazy. But anyway, do you want to plug all of your stuff, kayfabe Rey Cash?
Yes, please. Of course, I'm at It's Rey Cash, REY as in Mysterio, CASH as in dollars. I have my own podcast, The Outsider's Edge, that's out at Outsider's Edge SS, and I'm also the producer and one half of the Chairshot Radio podcast at Chairshot Radio. I'm a member of the Chairshot Radio network that's at the Chairshot.com, and your boy writing columns again. Me and Clive himself, Brian Kinsella from Social Suplex, we wrote the top 10 best moments from Full Sail from NXT at Full Sail. So look out for that, and I will be writing more. That is my resolution for this year, to write more. So yeah, man, just I'm around at It's Rey Cash. I tweet a lot more, so yeah, check me out.
Don't judge my Twitter for the past few weeks of what it's normally like. I've been off it for Christmas. It's been, a bit like. So you can follow me on Twitter at the Damn Implicat. I'll hopefully try and kick up over Wrestle Kingdom this weekend. So yes, at the Damn Implicat, that's damn as in damn. Oh, I can do the voice again, yes. Because my voice has gone with the drinking and Christmas, so the fact I can actually do the voice again, it makes me happy. Anyway, yes, follow me on Twitter there. As I've already talked about, I was part of a multi-man column that went up today with the Kiss Boys and Sir Sam, with us previewing the entire card and predicting every single match on said card. Yes, it's over 4,000 words because of that. A lot of matches to get through. So, if you want to go check that out, it's up on Lords of Pain right now. Also, it's another shout out to Clive, who's going to be getting back into some form of writing since 205 Live messed about and got moved nights, and it's kind of like, what does Clive write about? He's getting back into the group. I can't remember what day he's been given. It's a little bit irritating, but I don't know if he let us just call him Clive now. It's just like he's lost the 205. It's just Clive. Gotta call him Brian? What do I call him? No, many people will actually understand that joke. Anyway.
No, but the ones that do love the hell out of it, trust me.
Anyway, I'll be hopefully getting back into the groove next week in terms of my normal weekly schedule, where I'll talk about all 4 of the American wrestling teleshows, and I'll post a column on it. I am ready for the Wrestle Kingdom rebound, where it feels weird. I'm just not into it. It takes a little while. But it's the road to Royal Rumble. Folk are getting announced. Hopefully the show I'm recording after this helps me get into that groove. Getting excited about WWE again. Royal Rumble's my favourite time of season, next to, I guess, WrestleMania. It's my favourite time of year. It just takes a couple of weeks to get there after Wrestle Kingdom. So look out for that. I'll be hopefully back by Saturday next week. Obviously, Saturday this week, I'm a little bit busy. So, no column. Not only have I not watched the shows, which doesn't help, I'll be perfectly honest, I am also a little bit busy, because it is Wrestle Kingdom, and here on Laws of Pain, we are going to be having LOPR Aftershock shows immediately following both nights, because Jamman and Jeff are crazy. So they've agreed to go live with me immediately following both Saturday and Sunday's Wrestle Kingdom shows. They live in America, yes. So it's going to be really early morning. I don't know many Americans who are crazy enough to do that, but those are 2 of them. So I'll be joining them in my lovely lunchtime, whilst they're up at like 7 a.m, having not been to sleep, trying to do a show. And Jeff said he's doing it just so me and him can finally be on the show together. It's like, that's sweet, Jeff. Much appreciated. If that's the thing keeping you awake, get ready to be disappointed. that lunchtime. Especially for night 2, where if I'm getting up at 5 a.m, or will I be a chirpy imp? I'm not entirely sure. Wrestle Kingdom will make me happy, it's fine. Anyway, so another thank you to Kayfabe Rey Cash to give him his on-air name.
Yes.
I do apologise for coughing over a bit.
No, it's okay. No, yes. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me, brother.
And I'll be back next week with show to be determined. I'll see how Wrestle Kingdom goes. I'll see how all that's taken in and what the week is like. But again, I am back for LOP Radio. And please do check out the other LOP Radio shows. Tomorrow we've got Math Plan and Mazza on the right side of the pond. I've already talked about Saturday and Sunday. Monday, Jamman and Jeff are back again with Kingdom of Honor. Tuesday is Global Revolution with the wider wrestling world. Wednesdays is the closing month of Sports Entertainment is Dead for Plans for Retirement Month. I can't remember who he's got on this week, but he plugs it. I just don't remember. I've got awful memory. And of course Thursday it's back to me. So with that, I bid you adieu. And Kayfabe Rey Cash also bids you adieu.
Goodbye.
Adios.
10.